What's up, team? It's Sherman here from Boss Mod. Today we're talking about the ENTJ. Before we get into it, as always, just a brief run through of the system that I'm using here, the four-person adventuring model. So basically, you have your type, and then within your mental wiring, there are four main components. This is what the RPG model is all about, okay? You might have heard it as like a car model too before, but this is just kind of putting an RPG spin on it. So you have your dominant function, and for you, it's extroverted thinking, and I consider this like a geomancer, okay? So this is your type. This is who you embody within that four-person system. And I'm going to get into the details as always. But so you have your hero, which is a geomancer, like a dwarf mage, trying to control the environment and put things where they need to be. Then you have your companion, which is actually called your auxiliary function, and it's introverted intuition. And I consider it to be like an elf hunter or a sentinel, kind of a long range, like one shot, one kill type thing, sniper, and very planned and methodical in that sense. And so the hero and the companion balance each other out, and they carry you through most of your epic quests in life. After that, you have the newbie. The newbie is kind of what you use when you're trying to defend yourself, and it's not really easily controllable or anything like that. This is your tertiary function, okay? And for you, it's extroverted sensing, or think of it like a berserker, like this dwarf warrior with two weapons that just wants to run in and experience the battle, right? So he kind of causes you some issues, and you generally think that he's better and more skilled than he is. And in this four-person model, you can imagine it like him thinking that he's better and he's able to take on these, huge groups of mobs that he really can't. He's going to get overwhelmed. And so he's like a level 10, assuming you're like a level 30 if you're around 30 years old. And he just, he can't really hang with the big boys, right? And after that, you have your inferior function or aspirational function. And I call this the escort. And for you, it's introverted feeling, technically, or you can think of it like an elf healer, like a priest, who's more about not direct heals, but kind of like protecting people with shields and whatnot. I'll get into it a little bit more too. So you have these four members, they're running around trying to make things happen in your life. Some stereotypes of an ENTJ before we get into it. They're, very systems focused. They want, achievements and results, step-by-step plans. And they're very long-term, goal-oriented. And because of that, stereotypically they're not too in tune with emotions and, how they themselves feel in a situation or how other people feel either. So let's break it down a little bit more. You have your hero, the geomancer, right? So technically, extroverted thinking is kind of what I just talked about of sorry, I touched the table, of building these step-by-step methods and approaches to achieving a goal. And what kind of goal it is basically what everyone can really understand as the logical approach. So you use a lot of like charts and graphs and empirical data and like images, things that people can see and be like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. So like, if it costs this much and we spend this much, then we're going to save this much, and all this kind of like math stuff that I'm awful with, and I personally don't spend a lot of time with, but I will pass that information to my friend, okay, my geomancer friend. Always. I'm like, I don't want to think about it. Give it to you. You figure out all the details and just let me know, right? And so that's kind of my stereotypical image of TE, but it's also, a lot of truth behind it. So you're using empirical information, trying to make these step-by-step approaches to reach a goal. Okay. Some of the abilities, I'm looking down here. You have like carve model to make an object out of earth. So basically add rational logic and, these like empirical data to systems in the external world. Oil, speed movement up. So focus on task completion and, like I said, achieving goals. Meteor, slam the area with a giant ball of earth. Give undeniable empirical or statistical evidence to back up your decisions. So this is what I was talking about just you show people this information and they can't deny, it. And so you take that and you move forward with it. Boulder roll. So roll a ball of earth that gains speed and size, combine facts, details, and objective measurements. There's a lot more in here. You can go to the website and check it out. I'll link it below. Earth Elemental, just one of my favorites. Summon a giant Earth Elemental to attack your target. Basically employ the unescapable power of the scientific method. It's a clear way of approaching and getting a goal, and just it fits. It works really well. So why not use it, right? Earth Shard, hurl a giant gem spike at the target and get right to the point. You generally don't faff around and, try to cater to other people's emotions and needs and stuff as much as like a healer would, because it just doesn't always make sense and it clouds the flow, right? Like if you want to get something done, you got to do it. You can't just tiptoe around everybody and make sure everybody feels happy and good about the situation. One more. Room, move targets around within an area, manage and organize people, tasks, and systems. So you're very good at managing stuff in the world, like your surroundings, right? And that stuff can sometimes include people. So this is kind of what gives ENTJs that stereotypical image of being like a manager at a company. The ENTJ that I'm good friends with is a trainer and a manager. So it fits, right? This doesn't mean that if you're an ENTJ, you have to be a manager somewhere. But you generally find people in those roles who can make plans and organize people and information and data and have this long-term focus of this long-term vision of where they want to go. So that's your hero. And if you're an ENTJ, that probably sounds pretty good to you. It makes sense. You're like, yeah, this is me. But of course, there are more aspects to everybody. So going into the next function within your, what's called a cognitive function stack, you have your auxiliary function. I call it the companion. And this is like your buddy. Okay, this is the one that helps you complete your goals and stuff like that. And carries you in the direction that you should go based on, other information and the companion's abilities. Okay, so what I mean by this is your hero, your geomancer style is a decision-making function. It makes decisions and judgments about what you should do. The companion is an information gathering or a learning, a perceiving function. So this is how you get the information and how you decide what is the important information, and then you pass that to your dominant function and make a decision. So for you, it's introverted intuition. And intuition in general is abstract, and it's trying to look at, it sees the tangible details, but it kind of goes beyond those because it wants to find the abstract connections that's making up whatever the situation is. So introverted intuition is looking inward into your past experiences, your subjective understanding, and looking for those abstract details. So what it does is it combines, this information to really understand where it's going, where this path is going to take you, or why this stuff is happening, why this person said this, okay, why these results are happening. And it's very long-term focused. Okay? It really wants to dig in deep and cut away all those excess threads and paths that, things might go to, and just get to the one core, the real, the true, meaning of why, right? So that's introverted intuition, and I consider this to be like an elf hunter, like a sentinel. And this is basically kind of stalking around, looking for its prey and studying it really deeply, and then taking that one shot that makes this critical attack and really, gets to the core of the beast or whatever information you're looking for. So introverted intuition balances you out in the sense of it gives you a way of introspecting. So if you're always, only considering your dominant function and this dwarven mindset of I'm just going to affect things in the environment and I'm going to move things around and just produce, right? And take action on the world, then you don't have that ability to look into your past and be like, was this the right choice? And, is it going to be the right choice if I do it again? And that's what the introspection gives you, right? The introverted functions give you that ability to just step back and be like, okay, that didn't really work as I wanted it to, so let's change it and go forward, right? If it didn't work, then it's time to change it. So listen to your companion. Take things more slowly. Take that step back and kind of observe and look for the actual ramifications of what's going to happen. So those two together put you in your growth state, and I think give you a lot of your core power as an ENTJ. But there are two mirror opposites within that group, within your function stack. So the first mirror opposite is the opposite of your companion. It's your newbie. So if your companion is introverted intuition, that means your newbie, your tertiary function, is extroverted sensing. So they're polar opposites. And what extroverted sensing is it's about immersing yourself in the present time, in the real time situation, and looking for concrete, verifiable details. And, taste, touch, all that stuff, or measurements and heat. It's really present, okay? Introverted intuition is not. Introverted intuition is not connected to the real world, But extroverted sensing is what can I touch and taste and feel and smell to learn, to take in that information. It's another learning process. So it wants to actually fiddle with things and then pass that information to the decision-making functions. In your case, extroverted thinking, geomancer style. So naturally, if extroverted sensing was in your dominant function, you would have this really badass berserker who, can use his body like a tool and use things around him like a tool and actually like connect with the world and like be this like very present being, okay? Very sure of yourself and your kinesthetic ability and whatnot. But as a newbie, you're down another 20 levels, right? With this ability. So your berserker is what kind of when you get a little stressed out or you're trying to make a decision and it's not maybe, let's see, how can I word this? When you're trying to stay in your dominant function, when you're trying to be a good geomancer, but things are kind of stopping you from doing it, then you switch on this extroverted sensing side and you just take action. You just do something. So your berserker just runs in there and is like, I don't care, I'm tired of waiting, I'm not going to introspect, I'm not going to wait for this sentinel to like track and figure out all this crap. I'm just going to run in there and see what happens. And that's kind of how you defend yourself, and that's an area that you are not really proficient in. Okay, you may think you are, but you're going to get way more out of your decisions if you introspect more. Okay, I hope that made sense. So take it slower. Don't listen to your newbie all the time, okay? And, it's good to let him level up on his own and learn the rules of the game, right? But don't always force yourself to make quick decisions based on the information that you can presently see and feel and, notice around you. I'm sure there was something else I want to think. But, when you do get stressed out and you're just like overwhelmed, you can't think anymore, you're just like, I'm done. And if it's a safe environment, do something physical, or take those quick steps just to get a result, because that'll put you back into your dominant function, your extroverted thinking. Just don't rely on it like all the time, okay? The older you get and the more experience you have with it, the better it'll be, but it's not the state that you want to be in. Okay, and then last you have your escort, your inferior function. This is introverted feeling, which is the mirror opposite of extroverted thinking. So extroverted thinking is about real, empirical data and, stuff in the outer world, the logical information. Introverted feeling is your subjective understanding of your feelings. Ethics and morals and stuff like that come into play too quite a lot. So this is where you're really vulnerable, okay? You're not comfortable dealing with your feelings or expressing your feelings too much. And the main reason for this is because you spend a lot of time looking at that outer logic, right? So if your decisions are mainly based on that, that means that you don't have a lot of time thinking about that opposite, the introverted feeling side. It's like that shining a flashlight on something, right? It illuminates the one object, but everything else around it is dark. You can't see it. So that dark zone is your introverted feeling, your subjective ideas of like, is this authentic to me? Is this really what I want to do? Is this who I am in the world? Is this how I should show up? Or is it just, a decision? that really doesn't do me justice. Okay. So introverted feeling, like I said, is about that subjective needs-based feeling side, and it's also looking at how other people would feel in a situation based on your own understandings of your own feelings. So as your escort, as your fourth function in your stack here, it's not great. Doesn't mean that it's not important, because it's very important, but it's not leveled up enough, and it's not a strong part of the group yet. But I consider the escort to have this like epic quest attached to it, and the reward of that quest is unlocking your true motivation and like what's going to give you that passion to just push on through anything, right? And yours is within introverted feeling. So that priest, you help him on his quest to care for yourself and care for people and add some emotional data to the logical data, and really think about how your decisions affect other people. And you do that enough and you get really in touch with that, and you're going to have better choices, better decisions, more effective instead of efficient decisions. And when you get that, you're going to be a beast. You're going to be a boss, right? So check in with your introverted side, okay? Check in with those introspective aspects of yourself. Introverted intuition and introverted feeling. But, if you're just looking for a quick way to gain some more motivation and some growth, listen to introverted intuition and know, like, if I do this, this is going to happen, right? And I have an ENFJ friend. Actually, I have many friends, and my wife too. And a lot of times my wife specifically is like, I knew that was going to happen, and I just did it anyway, just because I wanted to see the results. And that's that battle of introverted intuition and extroverted sensing. It's like she knows it's going to happen, but you kind of want that quick fix of like, is it really going to happen? Let me see. And you drop the pot or whatever. Not like, there's a pot over there in my kitchen. So let me roll back a little bit. So think about the long term. Don't give in to the quick fixes, and use your badass brain to make a change in the world that's going to help other people and help yourself too. Okay, so that was a little long-winded. Sorry about that. Hope it was helpful. If you have anything you want to talk about, write below in the comments or email me at Sherman at boss-mod.com. Stay tuned. Good luck, have fun. See you.